Hi, welcome to the 10K Student series, where every episode we value a company by analyzing the 10K report. So today we are analyzing Apple. So this is Apple's 10K report, and it's around 90 pages long. So I'll first go through the 10K report and explain you how to pick up the important points, and then we will value it using discounted cash flow methodology. So the first part in the 10K report is the business. So here they explain the company designs, manufactures, and markets mobile communication and media devices. So basically, like Apple is main products are like iPhone, iPod, iMac, iTunes software, the whatever money they generate there. And in September 2014, here the important point what they're saying is they also introduced the Apple Watch, which is they're expecting in 2015, and the Apple Pay. And other than that, it doesn't say much about the company, just some basic things. So let's quickly skim through. So again, one point I want to say is that when you're looking in the 10K report, one needs to be really efficient. They if you see like very general information, then you can just quickly skip, and because our goal is to uh, get information that is really going to be important for valuing the company, which is somewhat relevant. And the business strategy, it says, the company is committed to bringing the best user experience. Obviously, who doesn't do that? And the company continues to expand its platform for the discovery and delivery of third-party digital content. So that's one of their main goal. Like through the iTunes store, they're trying to get some, lot of third-party business. And then they talk about their R&D and D and other thing initiatives. Then the business organization, it's pretty straightforward. They're US based, and their offices all over, which again is not so much relevant. Now here comes the first somewhat important piece of information. Here, if you look at it, they talk about products. Okay, and right now we'll just quickly go over the main products. The first is iPhone, and right now it says that the company has introduced iPhone 6, and it gives some features. The second is iPad, that is the second biggest product, and then is Mac, and then is the iPod. Actually, iPod is somewhat declining, and then we have iTunes and iTunes Store. That is another important source of revenue, and Mac App Store, and Apple Pay and all those things. They're emerging, but right now they are not generating any revenue. And then they talk about the operating system software, which Apple uses, and uh, you know they it's kind of just general discussion what kind of products they have and all, and application software. Then the accessories, Apple TV, they're saying what it's doing, and we'll see later on how much of revenues it's generating. And then the Apple Watch, they have introduced. Um, and then the one very important piece of Apple's ecosystem are its developers. They are really dedicated, and because the developers are the ones who create all the apps that are stored in sold in Apple Store. So um, that is important, and here they explain, support developers with development, testing, and distribution. So the program, they also create the test environment so that the developers can test their products. And uh, they're talking about uh, some initiatives they have, like tools to simplify the design and development of user interfaces. Swift, the company's new programming language for both iOS and OS 6, introduced in June 2014. So here, you see, this is where your business acumen comes in. If you look at it, Apple, I'm sure, is spending a ton of money to develop this. So what this is doing is this is increasing the intrinsic value of Apple. Okay, so intrinsic value is something like, let's say you go to college. Okay, you're spending like, $500,000. You actually don't even earn a cent. You keep spending, but that education further helps you to get a good job. So when you're going to college, your intrinsic value keeps increasing. In fact, when you come out of college, your intrinsic value just stagnates. After that, you start unlocking the intrinsic value by actually going and getting the job. And basically, I'll take back the term unlocking. Basically, you go and make use of that. So first phase, you created that value, and then you're making use. So if you look at it here, this was one very significant event where one can easily say that Apple did increase its intrinsic value, because the Swift is going to make the development more easy. So it's going to attract more developers, and in future it's going to help Apple create more revenues. Now the company's developer programs also provide access to multiple development resources and all other basic things instead. Then product support and services. What are the different ways it's supporting? Apple Care. It's talking about production plan. It's pretty straightforward. Then the markets and distribution. The company's customers are primarily in the consumer, SMB, education, enterprise, and government markets. So here, uh, one very important point to note down is that in the year 2014, the net sales through the direct and indirect channels, they're giving the breakup. Okay, uh, the net sales from the direct was 28%. So what this signifies is that Apple also is making use of distribution channels, because that's how it's able to get to its customers. So while analyzing, we need to really focus on who are these distribution channels. Okay, because let's say if there is any weakness here, then this thing can go be impacted, which is pretty big, right? Okay, so now the company believes that the sales of its innovative and differentiated products are enhanced by knowledgeable sales people, which is, pretty obvious. And then to ensure high quality buying experience for its products, with serve and education are emphasized. So let's keep skipping through. This doesn't look a lot of very general information. I don't think we will have any value here. Then the competition, obviously the biggest competitor um, in the iPhone market is Samsung, and other emerging Android devices. So uh, here it just gives a simple basic overall view that who are the competitors, and you know um, how they are going to face them and their strategies. So the company is focused on expanding its market opportunities related to personal computers and mobile communication and media devices. But again, this is pretty general information again. And supply of components. See, this is very important, because uh, it's the way Apple's ecosystem works is it procures pretty much all its hardware products from Asia. So one needs to really focus, like, how its supply is working. So here it says that it uses custom components that are not commonly used by its competitors, and new products introduced by the company often utilize custom components available from only one source. When a component and product uses new technologies, initially capacity constraints may exist until the supplier's yield have matured. So again, no specific information, but it's just given general, like, what can be the issues with the competitor, the supplier. Sorry. Um, so it says while the company manufactures some Macs in the United States, substantially all of the company's hardware products are currently manufactured by outsourcing partners that are located primarily in Asia. And here, um, uh, uh, it says that the company's purchase commitments typically cover its requirements for 150 days. So, they always have products that are, they can sustain for about 5 months, you can say. The next big part is the research and development. Here, again, we will come down in the financials. Obviously, you'll see how much was the expense. And the total R&D expense was about $6 billion in 2014. Okay, and in 2013 it was 4.5, and then 2012 3.4. So then comes the patents and all those things, which obviously they're very general. Foreign and domestic operations and geographic data. So the net sales for domestic was 38%. That means in US they generated about 38% of their total revenue was US, and 62% of their revenue came from international. Yeah, so here we can see the foreign and domestic operations and geographic data, and you can see the breakup, and also it explains other basic points. Now, you know what? Let's go down and first figure out how exactly does the company make money. Okay, so if we keep going down, these are the risk factors and all. So if we keep going down, so there is a section called management's discussion and analysis of financial conditions. So here, if you look at that, here it basically gives you a simple breakup, like, to the fiscal 2014 is basically the year ending. Apple's current period ends in September 30th. So September 30th, 2014. So that so basically they're talking about from September 30th, 2013 to September 30th, 2014. What happened? The net sales grew by 7%. That was about $12 billion, and it was uh, they are giving the breakup. The iPhone, Mac, iTunes, how much they contributed. Then they talk about fiscal 2013. So this is the first very, you know, excuse me, uh, the very good breakup, which shows how that $182.8 billion were generated in 2014. That was the total sales. So you can see it's giving the breakup by geographic region. So Americas was um, barely over about 30%. Okay, so Europe came after that. It was Europe. The Greater China, it's almost 30 billion. So the company is generating almost half of what it generates in America. So it's got a very good potential to grow in China more. And the retail. So retail is basically, you know, through the website and all, like, how much it generates. And this also gives the how it has changed. So the US portion, they grew by 4%. Okay, and in 2013 they grew by 9%. But look at China. China is growing double digits. It grew by 13% from 2012 to 2013, and it grew by 17% in 2013 to 2014. So this gives us a very good clue, like how Apple's growth is dependent on Chinese economy. So uh, this really makes it very clear. So if China somewhat slows down, Apple's, like, a big portion of its growth will also slow down. So that's something to keep in mind when we are evaluating. And so that was the biggest. And then the Japan also grew a lot, 27% 13 and 11%. So basically China and Japan are contributing a lot uh, to Apple's success. Then the product. So out of $182.8 billion dollars, iPhone generated more than $100 billion. Then came the iPad, which actually is reduced from 31.98 to 30.28. iMac has increased. It's Mac has really doing good. Um, it's increased by 12%, and the iPod is actually in the decline now because the product matured, and everyone is buying iPhone. So you know very few people are buying iPod. And the iTunes software. So this is the uh, everyone is predicting that it's going to be a very big portion of Apple's sources of revenue in future, because it's basically, uh, you know Apple doesn't have to do much here. It's third party products, they come and put in their website, and Apple is just creating the ecosystem. So that's a very significant portion. And then the accessories, they're kind of stable, not that much. Then here they're saying unit products, so that means the company sold about 169,219 iPhones. So I guess, sorry, unit is in thousands. I'm really sorry. So the company has sold around 169.2 million iPhones in 2014. That's 13% increase. Now, if you look at the product, it's 12%. So this shows that the unit price increase is not much. So actually, the unit price is a little bit declining. So there's a little bit pricing pressure for the company because of Samsung. And then the iPad, actually the total number of sales has gone down. Same with the sales. Uh, um, then the Mac, um, it was it just went up by 16%. So about 18.9 million Macs were sold, and iPod about 14.3 million. So this was a very good way of figuring out how Apple is making money, right? So we saw by product, and we saw by from which place it's getting. Now if we come down here, um, it gives some basic reasons also. So why Apple's revenue grew 13%. So here they say the successful launch of iPhone 6 and 6 Plus beginning September 2000 expanded distribution. iPhone unit sales grew all of the company's operating systems. So they're just giving basic reasons, now why iPad fell down. The net sales and unit sales for iPad declined, and overall iPad ASPs were relatively flat in 2014 compared to 2013, with a shift to mix to high-priced iPads being offset by reduction in iPad Mini. So iPad Mini is cannibalizing basically. So there is a price reduction because of which iPad product is being impacted. Then we saw the iTunes software. The increase in iTunes software was primarily due to growth in unit sales and other things there. So uh, these are the margins. So they divide and they say sorry, this is the percentage, like what is the percentage of the net sales uh, from Europe, from China and all, and why it increased. So basically they're also giving the geographic region, like so in China the experienced year-over growth was significantly higher than the was driven by higher unit sales. And so there's nothing um, they're all very general information, nothing very unique thing they are telling here. Let us look at here. Okay, the gross margin, they're talking about that, and the operating expenses and all. Then this, if we keep going down, so here is in the middle is the real financial information, detailed, it comes in. So this is called the income statement, and it shows the total sales and what was the cost of sales. So the gross margin was $70.5 billion. The research and development, they had to spend about 6 billion. Sales was about 12 billion. So about 18 billion was operating expenses. Okay. And so the earning per share, so then they had the tax expense, everything was $6.45 in 2014. And the company has done pretty good job. Like, they're not issuing a lot of shares and all, and so their shares outstanding are actually decreasing because they've bought back shares, and the cash dividends is $1.82 they have paid to shareholders. Now this is the comprehensive income. What it shows is, there are some derivatives they have to have for, foreign exchange, to hedge the, foreign exchange exposure and all. And so it shows about $41 billion is comprehensive. Then here is the balance sheet. Now this is very important. One needs to see, like the company has almost $25 billion sitting, like about 11.3 in short-term securities and about 13.8 in cash. And this is the total assets is about $231 billion. Here it shows. So the goodwill is also pretty in control, because the company has not spent a huge amount of money. This is where you'll see a difference. A lot of technology companies, they grow, but they keep spending money in acquisitions, which increases the goodwill. And it's not goodwill is not always good, they say, because what happens is, it's if the acquisitions don't work, then they have to take an impairment charge. That means they have to reduce the goodwill and take the charge on the income statement. So so all this looks pretty good. Like the company's long-term debt is about $30 billion it has taken, even though it has cash, because it doesn't want to bring back the cash to US. So if it has to spend in US, it has to take debt. And so the total book value is about $111 billion. Okay. Now, if you look at the cash flow statement, so the company generated about $60 billion of cash. Okay. And in the investing, they have invested around 10 billion in capital expenditure. So it just has one. And they have some paid some money for the acquisitions. So if you do 60 minus around 10, that's about $50 billion of free cash they have. Okay. And so this is where it will come handy, like, when we are valuing the business, like, how much we should be paying, right? um, Based on these figures. Then comes the footnotes. You know, they have revenue recognition. They're talking about all the accounting arrangements they have made, and what these things mean. So nothing very, all are very general information. Um, it's about talks about cash and all, and uh, note 4 is about goodwill. How much is the goodwill they have? Then the income taxes. This is important, and where we can see, you know, what is the deferred, how much was the tax expense and all, and that's it. So now let me bring you my blog. So this is where I store all the valuations. Okay, so if you see, I store all the valuations here. It's my valuation playbook. So obviously you can also access, if you go to 10K student, 10kstudent.com, you'll see, you'll be brought to this blog, and you can access all my evaluations. And Apple is here. If I click here, I can see. So let us bring this a little bit down now. So here you can see the Apple valuation is, the base free cash flow I took is about $45 billion. Okay, so here I said, you know, we saw the cash flow statement here. Okay, where did it go here? About 59. So if you do $59 billion and you reduce what 10 billion, it comes to 49. Plus I took about $4 billion for acquisitions, so 45. Then I have a multiple. That means based on the discount rate and the growth rate, I feel it should have multiple of 12, which is very conservative. And the net book value for valuation, that means it's all the cash, the net tangible assets that are not directly employed for generating cash, but uh, they're still valuable. So that is about $90 billion. So if you multiply this 45 to 12 and add 90, it's 630 billion, and you divide about $6 billion, 6 billion shares outstanding, you get about $104. So this is how we saw the valuation of Apple. I hope you liked it. Okay, thank you. Please do send me your comments at you can I'll just write down my email. My email is valuationtrg at gmail.com. Valuationtrg at gmail.com. Thank you.